Flight boss, bitch. For sure. You're not listening to the mind of an Antares Mill. I am the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And this video right here is going to be about how to deal with your children utilizing astrology. I don't give a fuck if you old age, young age, middle age, going through a midlife crisis with your monkey ass. It don't matter what circumstance you're going through. If you got some chaotic ass children, but goddamn it, you know their astrology because you made they monkey ass. So you know the time and the date already. And if you watch my channel and you into this shit, that's what this video is going to be about right here. And this is just one aspect you can use. This is just one tool you can use. But it's like endless tools out here in this world. So, for the most part, here's the thing, right? Utilizing astrology to help you deal with your children. Now, let's say, for the most part, based upon your children, your child, sun, or moon sign, that's going to let you know their actions and reactions. The moon represents reactions. The sun represents actions. And their ascendant is going to let you know their personal interests, the things that build their personal characteristics that can slowly but surely be their personal issues or develop into their personality in some way, shape, or form. Right? So each area of their life, each house, you have a planet that falls there, right? That fall in one of these houses. And your planet, whatever planet it is, that's going to be the energy of how you affect your child in that area of life. For an example, let's say you have your Mercury in your child's 5th house. Then the way you think and communicate affect your child's way of expressing themselves. So for the most part, they may express themselves like you or on a negative end, because there's always a yin and yang. They may end up expressing themselves opposing you once they get older in their lives in some way, shape, or form. Now, let's say you got your son in your child's 10th house. Then your actions and how you view things affect your child's way of seeing status, career, popularity, or gain a structure or job, or, you know what I'm saying, being important in the world in some way, shape, or form, and gaining some type of stability. So that your actions will affect your child in that area. So it's important to know that. But all of us may not know, even though y'all get so lost into life, y'all may have forgot the hour and time that your child was born, so you just know down to the sun and moon or the sun or something like that. But for the most part, here's the thing. Going beyond that, here's if you know yourself and you know your own houses and things of that nature, here's how you can kind of relate to your child in a better attribute or in a better perspective. Because a lot of times one of the main problems is that we are uncomfortable or unfamiliar in areas that our child may need us in. You see what I'm saying? And therefore, based upon us already building natures and building our mind based upon getting older and becoming adults, we may put ourselves into a situation where we have already agreed to, and once you get fixed in your ways, your child might need you in an area that you can't even see because you have built so many inner securities, aka insecurities, and so many comfort zones within you based upon your upbringing in order for you to feel secure. And you gave a lot of these things credit to what you got today that you look at as success in any way, shape, or form, whether on a small or a large percentage scale. So it'd be certain things that your child may visualize things and how your child may feel based upon them being a spirit inside that spaceship of thoughts and feelings. They may be in an area in the esoteric realm that you are unaware of, and based upon what have made you feel comfortable in your life, you may utilize these same traits thinking that this is going to make your child feel comfortable. And slowly but shortly, you're getting ready to build an enemy once they become older. So, you know what I'm saying? You have to be careful of that also. And I know enemy is a harsh word. That's always going to be your child. But, it's so often that things just turn out for the bad. But like I said, we're not going to get too far into that. This video is to prevent these things, especially for all my young parents out there. So, for the most part, here's the thing, right? So, let's say you are a totally different alignment. You're a totally different element than your child. Try not to practice child abuse. And practicing child abuse is actually forcing your ways down your child's throat. And your ways may have worked for you, but you're going to set your child on a path where it's not going to work as well for them, because their way of going about it is going to be with their spaceship, their minds, their elemental mixture, their elements, their solar system. So they might cause a lot more frustration and mishaps in that area that you had a foot in already, because whatever that you was participating yourself in that worked for you for you to become a parent and things of that nature was more of your elemental mixture in some way, shape, or form. You might got certain water elements with earth or water elements with air, however you're mixed up. You see what I'm saying? So your child may only have a small portion of what you're mixed up with. So they're only going to have a small understanding of how you understand that field. So if you set your child on that field, they may even get older to start to hate you for that, because they're going to start to feel like you was holding them back for what they truly wanted to do in their life. And if it takes the external world, aka best friends, associates, things that they go through in life, you know what I'm saying, and ups and downs, and breaking their virginity and things of that nature, if it took all of those events to realize what they actually wanted to do besides you, and you are the individual that they was counting on in order to know that position in their life, then for the most part they might build some type of frustration with you where they end up becoming to have a chip on their shoulder. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to build no kind of relationship like that, because this is going to be the person that you start to count on to take care of your monkey ass when you don't want to live in a goddamn nursing home, and you don't want to raise no dub, aka it don't matter if they love you or not. If you raising a dub, they ain't shit, so you going to the nursing home anyway. You know what I'm saying? But so you need to keep this in mind while you're on your path right now, being a wise parent, watching Archangel Uriel. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, here's the thing. So getting into details. Now, let's say your child have a certain alignment. Let's say your child is Earth, right? So for the most part, what you're going to want to do is look at the Earth houses. Now, not the Earth houses as in general. We know the Earth houses is the 2nd, 6th, and the 10th house. No, the houses that you have the Earth constellations in. So your Earth houses. So it doesn't matter which house, as long as you got the Earth constellations there. You know what I'm saying? Like for an example, all my Earth constellations, well, they in the right places, but you might have your Earth constellations in the air houses, in the 3rd, 7th, and the 11th houses. So you just get the way you utilize the air type of area of your life. You know what I'm saying? Because these mean something beside us. You see what I'm saying? These ain't the stars, it's the houses. So that's just the position that the stars is in, aka you're going to be focused in that area of life. So, you know, based upon you having, let's say you got Earth constellations on your air houses, the way you correlate those air houses is in an Earth way. So for an example, let's say you have Capricorn on the 3rd house. So if you got Capricorn on the 3rd house, then for the most part, the way you deal with your friends, what you're familiar with, your surroundings and things of that nature, the way you deal with these things is in a bossy way sometimes. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's good not to utilize lazy astrology. It's always good to break everything down so you can get a full clear perspective. Therefore, even if you in sidereal or utilize some type of Vedic calculation system, right, you'll be able to see where your arguments against Western is very wrong and where Western is wrong at, and be able to see both perspective of where they both work, where they're both wrong, and how to understand the true system itself in some way, shape, or form on us being in this space, and us just being influenced by these stars in some way, shape, or form, and us not to get too lost into stars and following lost stars to the point that we forget how it's influencing us in the perspective or the space that we are currently in. You see what I'm saying? And then we get lost in the la-la land, truly not gaining no information or realizing or understanding anything from a full perspective. But here's the thing though, right? Once we start to talk about let's say you got let's say your child is Earth, right? What you're going to want to do is look at the houses that you got the Earth constellations ascending in, right? And here's the thing. If you don't got no planets in these houses, it might get a little harder for you to even do these things. These may be things that you're uncomfortable with doing. These may be things you're frustrated with doing. Even if you're not watching my channel or you're not into astrology or anything, these might be things that you're unaware of in your life that you even have to do in the first place. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're just completely oblivious to these things. So let's say if your child is Earth, and let's say if you got your Earth houses on your Earth constellation on the water houses. So let's say you got your Earth constellations ascendant in your 4th, 8th, and your 12th house, even if you got overlapping houses or whatever like that, right? So These are the areas of life that you got to focus on in order to convey or relate better to your child. If your child is a earth sign, sun and moon, or Mercury, or this, that, and the third, right? In order for you to connect better with your child, you're gonna have to jump into your earth qualities. And here's the thing: like I said, it may get a little harder, even if you don't have no planets in any of those houses. So you're gonna have to utilize those houses as far as the house lord. Go see where the ruling planet is at and formulate that system. Use that house energy for the house that house lord is at. You know what I'm saying? So if you, let's say you don't got no planets in your earth houses, and let's say they're in the 4th, 8th, and the 12th house, you're going to take the 4th house, and like, let's say you got Capricorn in the 4th house. You're going to want to go see where Saturn is at. And wherever Saturn is at, you're going to take that 4th house energy and do it in the house or that area of life wherever Saturn is at. And the more you participate that 4th house energy in that house dealing with those type of things, where Saturn is at, that's how you complete your house lord or your motherfucking revelation in some way, shape, or form. But you know what I'm saying? Okay, or come to an outcome or a conclusion that your spirit's supposed to come to here. So, but these would be the areas of life that you have to jump in. So if your child is earth energy, you're gonna have to, and you have your earth energy in the 4th, 8th, and the 12th house, then you need to jump in those areas of life. You need to be more private, more home-like, more comfortable, or more dealing with the emotional instability. I don't care if you got a lot of other energy in your chart or not, a lot of Gemini or something like that. You got to be a little bit more emotional in order to convey to your child, because the way that you be emotional is going to be the right way that your child understand it. Because if you got Capricorn in the 4th house, the way you be emotional is going to be in a constructed, dry, calm, cool, collected, organized, structured way. And let's say that your sun sign is probably Scorpio or some shit like that. You're not even gonna know how to come across like that if the situation is serious enough. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. Like, the dynamics gets very deep. And then for the most part, 8th house type things. You know what I'm saying? Be a little bit more sacred. Try to not put your child into a situation where your child could feel embarrassed or vulnerable. AKA, if you don't have to, don't whoop your child in front of other individuals. If you got an earth-like child and your earth houses, your earth constellation is in the 8th house. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, I don't care how bad your child is, scare your child away from people and always give your child the understanding that I will whoop you in front of people, but I'm bringing you back here to whoop you to let you know I really mean it in some way, shape, or form. But I don't want to embarrass you, but I'm actually going to let you know what's wrong. You actually come to your child in a way that they can really understand it, and you ain't got no other way to go about your 8th house but whatever constellation you got there. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. So 8th house is about deep things and doing things behind closed doors. But goddamn it, if you got Capricorn in the 4th house and Taurus in the goddamn 8th house, then your way of going about being deep and things of that nature may put you into a situation where you're more surface level with it. You know how to convey it. You know how to make it more practical. And if your child is an earth sign or earth signs, that's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the thing. Damn. All right. Like I said, don't worry about, because you might get placed into astrology and you might learn certain things, but if you're not an actual astrologer or whatever like that, you might get lost into demiurges and things of that nature, especially the Vedic and sidereal astrology. When you look at their comments and shit like that, it's just a whole bunch of people lost in feelings and thoughts and shit like that, don't even know how people are expressing certain things. But the reason that I'm saying that is because don't worry about the things you have learned. For an example, you might have learned, right, there's the fire houses, the 1st, 5th, and the 9th. There's the earth houses, 2nd, 6th, and 10th. And then you might think that it's fixed in stone in some way, shape, or form. So it don't matter. What constellation you got going over there or what planet you got going there. You think you still that element or energy of whatever that Western astrologers are lost in. They're still calling the houses the actual constellations in some way, shape, or form. Where it's just the 1st house. 1st house has nothing to do with Aries. 2nd house has nothing to do with Taurus. 3rd house has nothing to do with Gemini. 4th house has nothing to do with Cancer. 5th house has nothing to do with Leo. So always keep that in mind. These constellations got born out of these houses. houses. Otherwise, there will be no system that we even came to come to the conclusion that you have a house lord or you have a first house. Otherwise, without knowing somebody's specific time and knowing their houses in general, you wouldn't even be able to understand anything else. So for the most part, this is the whole point. So understanding, like, don't worry about what you have learned, because you can't act out that house in no other way if you got that constellation in a house. For an example, you may have learned the 8th house is Scorpio. So for an example, you think just because you got another constellation in the 8th house, you're still Scorpio-like. No, you're doing, the 8th house has nothing to do with Scorpio. The Scorpio constellation, virtues and principles got manifested out of the 8th house. The 8th house represents behind closed doors. Behind closed doors, secrets, mysticism, occult, death, transformation, power, and control. Now, the constellation that got born out of it is fixed water, being fixated on its own way of dealing with the emotions and feelings. So it's being backed and supported by transformation and things of that nature. Because when you're fixated on an emotion or feeling, that could be a grudge or that could be excitement. So that could be ashes to dust, or that could be the rise of a phoenix. So for the most part, here's how we can add more terminology to the constellation of Scorpio. And then the planet that was there first, that was mixing and mingling with other planets before it even became a constellation, was goddamn Mars. So then that adds passion, motivation, and desires or intent. So now we got a full spectrum on what Scorpio mean as a constellation. It's fixed water, being fixated on its own way of dealing with the emotions and feelings when it comes to passion, motivation, desire, intent. Also co-ruled by Pluto, transformation, and power and control. And then it was born out of the 8th house. So they may have a little sense of mysticism behind them. They may have a little sense of death, aka putting death to a thought, feeling, or manifesting a lot of situations in their life that make them have to come to the conclusion that they have to actually destroy or get rid of a desire, because this desire is holding them back in some way, shape, or form. So it might get a little scary for them because they have rooted a lot of security-based levels within whatever that they have got lost in what they thought it was a desire. So you see what I'm saying? This is how you understand the loopity-loop-loops, and not just be so surface level or be a surface dweller. But at the same time, when you do dive a little deeper, this helps you understand that, let's say you got a child, that's water, right? And let's say that you heavily earth or something like that, or heavily fire, or heavily whatever, right? Now, for the most part, here's the thing. You want to go to your houses and you want to go look at your water constellations and see where they at. Let's say you got your water constellations. Let's say you got Pisces on the 1st house, Cancer on the 5th house, motherfucking Scorpio on the 9th house. So for the most part, in order to convey more to your child, because y'all might been going through a lot of disagreements, or y'all can't really combine in ways and shapes and forms, you're going to have to jump into these areas of life. And like I said, it might be a little bit more frustrating if you got no planets there. If you do got planets there, more kudos to you. But you might have to dive in and be a little bit more personal. You know what I'm saying? And handle a little bit more personal issues or insecurities along with your child, and don't dish that to the back burner. Your child might be yearning for more personal connection in some way, shape, or form. Now, don't worry about it, because if you got Pisces in the 1st house, the way you're going to do it is going to be in the way that your child can understand it, because it's going to be in the way of you having concern or discernment or seeing something from your child's point of view. And, you know, based upon you having other suns and moons and things of that nature, that might be something that you're unfamiliar with and not even see that that's something you have to do at the time. You get what I'm saying? Even getting into the 5th house, because it's trined up. So you will put yourself into a situation where you have to be more expressive and more open too, and make things more light and not as serious. You know what I'm saying? And the way that you would do it, by having water here, aka Cancer here, your child will understand it. You know what I'm saying? Understand that perspective a lot better. And then you would dive into the 9th house. Be a little bit more educational, be a little bit more free, be a little bit more light when it comes to morality and being restrictive and things of that nature. And but always kicking a moral system like this will happen. I might be a little loose and let you do it, but don't say I ain't tell you this would happen. And your child will respect you more and things of that nature. But for the most part, these are just different attributes that you can utilize in order to motherfucking deal with your children, especially when things get out of whack when it comes to with y'all relationship. Flight watch it, you know, for sure. I'm about to send all y'all readings.